Amazing authority today. His name is Kevin Foong, and this man has spoken all over Asia. He's an international expert in a modality that needs some explanation for people who haven't been exposed to the metaphysical world. I happen to have great interest in his topic personally. I'm very much interested in it because I was reared around it through my mother, who's a well known metaphysician in Los Angeles, where I grew up. But today I'm in Thailand. Kevin is in his native country, Singapore. Kevin, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me.
Yeah. And you are an expert in Feng Shui, if I pronounced it right. Excuse my
Yep, Feng
Mandarin. It's
Shui.
not
You're good.
perfect. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a regular old American white guy, but I know that it's not understood well in the West. They think it's about arrangement of things in your house and water, but there's so much more to it. Tell us a little bit about this so we get some
Sure.
clarity, please.
No problem. So now in the art of metaphysics, there's many different knowledge that branch around metaphysics. So people will always, like to look at the date of birth and time, right? So there's many these different systems that talks about the date of birth and time. So in the Western world, you do have the Western astrology, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's looking at planet position. In the Chinese world, we always use this system. We call it Bazi, right? Which is the 8 Chinese characters. It actually
Mm-hmm.
derived from a person, year, month, day, and hour. Now, let me give you a bit more insight about Feng Shui. Now, Feng Shui is always about the energy of the space that we are actually residing in at that moment, right?
Okay.
And there's actually proven formulas to really understand and interpret what sort of energies are we talking about and what are the things that's going to have an impact on it, be it on relationship, your career, your health, right? And like pretty much what you have mentioned earlier on, it's not just so much about product placement. It's not just about shifting furnitures here and there. There are certain formulas we are actually looking out for, and technically, by getting certain of these aspects correct, you actually speed up, having a lot less resistance in the things that you do in the life. Yeah. So effectively, Feng Shui is always about the space we are in, and then what are some of the things that I'll be talking about? It's okay. You have to look at the bed position, your working desk, and what's the first thing you see when your house front door opens up, right? So that's the passage of energy entrance. We call that the Qi path. All right. So that's really just Feng Shui introduction as a glimpse. But of course, I will guide you more as we go on.
Yeah, and you also address something called Bazi. There's
Yes.
Bazi, and then there's Qi Men. Maybe you give a little bit about that so our viewers can understand as we go through this interview today.
Sure. All good. Okay, so let me just goes back to the topic of our own date of birth and time. So now if you go to India, the Indians are using, we call this Vedic astrology, all
Yep.
right, or they call that sidereal astrology, both works, okay? So, and then they have, different planets that introduce the systems, they do certain calculations, and you realize that, they can have a very high amount accuracy. At the end of the day, it's not about which systems is better. It's
Mm.
always about how much research time the practitioner actually plays in his research work. So in my area of practice, I've been researching on Bazi for the last at least 26 years,
Mm.
right? So we develop our own software, because these days we start to talk about AI. We want to retrieve information a lot faster. So gone are the days that, the times that I actually started learning Bazi from my mentors in the heydays. We did everything manually. We have to look through a 10,000 year calendars to do the
Uh,
conversion from Gregorian calendar to a lunar calendar. And then, yeah, we got to do all of those things. And that's the thing, humans tends to make mistakes as we go on. So with me, I bring a mix of using technologies. That means using a plotter, right? So in that sense that a web plotter will always get the information correct, because at the end of the day, it's mathematics calculation. And of course, the key thing is what's so great about knowing your own date of birth and time. That's the thing. You see, everyone in life, we don't really have a manual on what are we made out of, what is our strength, what is our weakness. Is this person going to be doing well in the marriage? What sort of career should you be doing when you're just first starting out? See, a lot of us is always on let's just base on an emotion. Maybe I like art. So should I be a long-term artist? Right? So that could be the question. So instead of figuring out all this guesswork, so I always tell our client the fastest way, just go back to your own date of birth and time. Because your own date of birth and time, to me, is the first information that, as far as I'm concerned, is what heaven, right, give you insights to. These are the informations for you to decode everything about yourself. See, if you found that, technically you're really a salesperson and not so much of a back-end researcher, right? And you have already, saved a lot of your time not getting them wasted, because someone could probably be doing 10 years as an engineer and only to find later that, they should actually be doing sales on day one. So we are talking about saving time. We're talking about sometimes we are in the middle of a crossroad. Okay, some people likes to be looking at career changes at one point. So then what sort of career changes we could talk about? What sort of role should you excel in? Again, then we talk about time. What time do you start it? What time do you start this business, the projects? So as far as we are concerned, every different day, there's a different sets of energy. Ever felt that, sometimes you were just probably driving, in your daily routine? So maybe you drive from point A to point B. Every other day is just pretty normal to you. But turns out that one day, as you were going the same usual road, suddenly there was a lot of traffic, there was a lot of obstacles. You just felt like a lot of things is stopping you, from reaching that destination. So what's the difference, right? Because every day you're actually going through the same routine. So the difference is energy change every day. So thus, if you know this information beforehand, then you could have pick a very good date. That's why the Chinese always believe in selecting a good date selections to get certain tasks done. So as far as Bazi is concerned, it's a lot more about discovering your inner strength, what you should really set up for, and of course the timeline of doing certain things. Now, of course, diving on to the topic of Qi Men Dunjia. Qi Men Dunjia talks about the study of current time space. It's just one topic. All right. Now, I can just give you a little bit more insights. In the ancient time, there was romance of the three kingdoms. If you read about stories like that in China,
Okay.
you get ancient warlords. They were fighting each other back then. So
Constantly.
yeah. So technically, last time that was a king, and then the king, there was a few camps. Each of these camps is governed by different warlords. All right. And in this very, very famous battle, known as Battle of the Red Cliff, that this warlord who has a very small amount of army. So technically we are talking about maybe about 10,000 soldiers versus there's this tyrant warlord who has like 100,000 soldiers. But yet, beside him, there was a personal advisor. His name is by the name of Zhuge Liang. Okay, now he was the guy that actually, bring this topic of Qi Men Dunjia and becomes famous because he did this one thing. He did this prediction of forecasting. In Chinese, we call 借东风. That means borrow the east wind. Now, you need to understand this. In that context, during that season, they are not supposed to be having any wind that's coming from the east. Because as you understand, wind are very seasonal thing, right? They travel, the directions of where they travel are usually very predictable, right? But yet, because there's this person, the advisor is called Zhuge Liang, he knew how to use Qi Men Dunjia to his advantage. So he did some calculation, and then through the guise of it, he kind of figured out that, what? In this short window of these 2 hours, there is going to be very, very strong wind coming from the east. And this is not the usual wind that usually happens, because by that season is a west wind, it's not an east wind. So what he actually do is he set fire, right, to some boats, mini boats that's disguised as soldiers, right? But they're technically scarecrows, strawmans on the boats itself. So a few boats disguised as they are almost going to attack. So what happened is the enemy, seeing this from afar, they fire tens of thousands of arrows with fire and setting all the boats on fire. But without realizing, the boats is going to hit towards that direction because there was an east wind for 2 hours.
I remember that story. I watched that story. Absolutely. Yes, so I can relate to it. I watched it. It was on Netflix. It was about one of these Chinese kingdoms. I was totally involved in that story, and they were going back and forth with the subtitles, because they were speaking, I guess, in old Mandarin and going
Yeah,
through. I remember that story with the boats, and then the one that was so arrogant, thinking he was going to wipe everybody out,
you're right.
and he
Yeah.
got his butt kicked. You know,
You're right. You're right.
yeah,
That
I
was
loved it.
Battle of the Red Cliff. So Battle of the
Yes.
Red Cliff is one that we learn a very important topic. How does this guy get his knowledge on this knowledge known as Qi Men Dunjia? So it turns out that there is a certain set of formula that kind of predicts, right, what is about to happen in this current 2 hours, the next two
Mm.
hours, and then in the next 365 days. So given that if we can tap onto this knowledge, how do we then use it in today's modern life? It's going to be very simple. So example, I do have people that is, they are engaged in a lawsuit, right? And then you're saying, how do we then win this battle in the lawsuit? So we will open out something like a Qi Men Dunjia chart. We'll analyze what is going to be the winning formula for us to win this lawsuit, and then we will give them the advice from there. And turn out that this is how we actually control certain outcome. All right.
Wow. Oh, you can
So
alter the course of
increasing, yeah,
outcomes.
yeah. So we just want to control certain outcomes. And sometimes we even use Shiman to make decisions making skills. So example, someone came to you with a business proposition and it sounds good, right, on surface. So, and you want to know, but you don't really know this person well enough to be getting on businesses with him. And then you set up a achievement chart. Then the achievement chart will tells you what happened if you go ahead, right? So if you were to proceed with the business, it will show you this is what will happen. Now, if you were not to proceed, it will also show you what will happen, all right? And of course, if there's obstacles in whatever negotiation you're going through right now, then we actually look for what does the chart tell us, how do we then achieve the breakthrough.
Mm.
So in that way, achievement today is used for decisions making to get the outcome that we want. So this is a very powerful tools. And thus I have taught, thousands of students on the topic of Qi Men and of course on Bazi, right? So Bazi is the analysis, which probably, in the quick while I will show you your own chart.
Sure, sure. I'd love
Right?
to see it.
Of course, I'll cover, what I'm not supposed to be saying. I'll talk to you on private. But
Okay.
in on the um big picture of it, I'll make sure that you understand how actually an analysis is being done. All right.
Okay. Well, I just want our viewers to see what Kevin Foong's is capable of providing, so someone will work with you.
Yep. Okay. Let me just see if I can share my screen for a bit. I think. Okay. Let's just see. Okay. Are you able to see
Yes.
the
There we go.
chart? Yep. Okay. We're good. Okay. All right. So of course, let me just. Okay. Usually we don't usually show our birthday
Ah.
because these
Okay.
are sensitive information. But
Okay.
okay, more. You're welcome to just put block out on the date of
Yeah.
birth and time, right?
I'll
Just
I'll,
for
I'll do
own
that.
protection. Yeah. Okay. So when you do your own editing, that'd be great. I'll just keep it to this part. Okay. So you can see from my mouse cursor. Yep.
Yes.
And of course, then we have the year, the month, the day, and hour. But of course, usually, some people, even they got their own date of birth and time, they wouldn't know how to do certain interpretation. Okay, so you see, the chart itself, there's various components, as you can see from our plotter. All right. So this
Wow.
is
Okay.
everything that is about, right? Really about your characteristics, your strength, people around you. If you were to get married, you have a spouse, what sort of relationship will you be expecting from the spouse, right? Parents' relationship, your health. So some of the key things you can pay attention to is all from analyzing this part of information, right? And of course, if we're just going to go down to this part, you realize that there's a lot of cycle right here. Okay, so first and foremost, this is what we call by your luck cycle, is to tell you what a person is going to go through, what sort of journey in their life. Is it going to be a supportive one? Is it going to be a challenging one? And if it's going to be supportive, what sort of role will they play in that 10 years? So this is a person age, right, in that 10 years.
Okay.
Okay. So of course, for yourself, currently, you can see that the software has already highlighted this for you. You are within the 61 mark, right? Age 61 and before age 71. So you're right here. So if I
Okay.
want to read further, what I will do is I will just click. So if you can see, the minute I click this 10 years right here will all appear just in seconds.
Oh,
All right.
wow. That's
So you
cool.
see,
That's cool.
2021, you'll be age 61 right here. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, this is the year is 2025, and this is your age 65. Okay.
Yep.
So then this is the energy that's going to be affecting you for 2025. So every year we got thousands of clients. They will do this annual analysis way before Chinese New Year. They will
Right.
start last year, like October onwards, September onwards, and all the way heading towards Chinese New Year. Those are my peak period because I'll be, analyzing a lot of this information. So just looking at the year itself, now if I were to click on this, you'll realize it brings out the 12 months, okay, the full 12 months energy for 2025. So sometimes we want to know that, example, if I want to start a campaign, which are the months should I go about doing it? Okay? Or which month is my key focus? You
Okay.
realize that a month is just about 30 days, but sometimes a lot of things can happen in a short span of 30 days. All right? So we want to make sure that, am I planning my schedule well enough? Okay? So if I can even show you how dedicate this can goes down all the way. So we're in the month of July right here. Okay.
Yes.
So if I were to click on July, all right, and you will see that the 30 days of July is all shown out. Okay.
Ah,
Based
okay.
on your interactions of energy. And today is like maybe today is the 3rd of July. Let's just say that if I were to analyze the 12th of July, I can click on it. It will show 24 hours, right? All the way down to
Wow.
24 hours. So, and if I were to analyze certain information, let's just say I want to analyze this time, and once I click this, I'll go back up to our app, right here. You'll see that now this is your date of birth and time. So, 1960s, and these are all your information right here. This is your luck cycle that you're going through. This is the year that we're going to analyze. And this is the month of energy we discuss about. And the day is the 12th of July. What is going to happen? So all this, if you look at all this information right here, this is how the systems helps to pull a lot of interactions. And what does this interactions means to you? So to us, 八字 is about two parts. First is, I want to know, right? Why am I born on this day? What is my strength? Okay? Because I would say you don't just want to know that, oh, yeah, it's just your birthday. But why you are born at that day and you figure out the why, you get on all your answers in life in a short amount of time. Okay? So that brings us back to, your profiling system, which we can actually analyze from here. So if you see this profiling systems, there's a percentage that's reading right here. But of course, this is developed by our team, so it's easy for our students to analyze this with no memory work. So a lot of it is just mouse over, you do get all of this coming out, right? And then what sort of industry should the person should be involved in is all shown right here. Okay, when it comes down to the interpretation. Now, and of course, the year energy itself, you'll see there's a lot of different energy that will come in that will affect you for the year. So some are good energy, which sets you for prosperity. Some are energy that's going to give you issues. Sometimes are
Okay.
health issues. Sometimes partnership issues. Sometimes business relationships, or even management of your financial matters. Right. So all
Okay.
this will comes under this. So let me just give you a very quick analysis while we're on this topic. Right. So I did mention that first thing first, any seasoned practitioner, they will look at all these 8 characters right here. This is all there is. So whatever I show in the percentage area are a very streamlined version to keep things easy for you. But for us, we've been a long time seasoned practitioner. We just read from whatever we get. This is like a native chart of it. So first thing first, Mitch, you are this chart right here. I would say you are of a CEO grade person. What do I mean by that? Okay, someone who can lead, someone who thrives on operations, structured planning, okay, and you are a person that sometimes I would say even over plan. Okay, you rather
Okay.
over plan than not planning to fail, right? If you do get what I mean by that, right?
Okay.
So that also means you put a high amount of standards on yourself to get things done. So if you want to get this one things done, the back end of you is kind of like a person that say, you know what, I can't be putting 100%. I need to put in 110% to get this thing done. So this is why when I look at this chart, this is one of the top profile of the usual CEOs I see that governs Fortune 5 companies,
Sure.
or they are otherwise running their own businesses. So if you're running
That's
your own
me.
businesses, yeah.
Yes.
If you're running your own businesses, then you will technically plan the whole business, right, in a very structured way. Structured with operations, with a lot of analytics. You like things to be maybe at one stage running on automations at one point, but you would then go through a lot of the different scenarios to make sure that any possible things that's not working too well will get taken care of in one of the structured by itself. So you see, this is when I look at someone like that, this is what I call a strategist, mindset. Okay, so some are more of an action taker, but for you mainly, you do a lot of the time on planning, on analysis, on your research work, and that's what you're really, really good at. Okay, so if you are not running businesses today, then if you do join a firm, then usually, or if you have worked for someone before, you usually rise up the rank pretty fast.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something for you to know. And of course, just with this chart right here, it also means that you use up a lot of your mental strength. While that sometimes is a very good benefit because you maximize your full mental capacity. One other things to pay attention to is also means that there'll be certain moments that the mental capacities are overused. When people goes into overthinking mode, it actually harms the body in a certain manner. Okay,
Mm.
so that's one part that while I say it's a strength, it's also your weakness at the same time. Okay, so this is something I want you to pay attention to. And of course, other things that I want you to pay attention to is you also do have, right, technically a pretty huge social circle. Whether you like it or not, people always get connected to you in a short amount of time. All right, this is based on what your chart says. All right, your circle is great, right? Which means to say is that anywhere you go, people get connected to you, and people say, you know what, Mitch, I love what you're doing right there, and I want to get started with something with you together. Let's just get something going. All right, so it's not about you being trying to market yourself too much or trying to get popular. You don't have to, because when people usually have a certain stars like that, people, they're kind of like a people magnet. I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure does. Understood.
so your network technically is one of the strongest point. Okay, make use of the network because I will let you know this. In fact, of course, I've not done full research on how much money you've earned over the years, but I'll let you know this. A lot of the money is earned through your huge network, right?
Yep.
Be it business proposition, probably you wrote one of the most successful books, right, for your clients. It's all through these introductions. It's all, one guy leads to another guy, that brings it all the big deals. This is one part of the life that's going to come in. Of course, other things I want you to pay attention to is I also need you to pay attention to things like your heart, right? So in terms of health organs, your heart is one area I want you to pay attention to.
Very astute observation. I had a heart attack a year and a half ago.
Oh dear.
I
Okay.
had 2 stents put in, so yes, I do pay attention to it.
Oh, okay. Sorry to hear that. But
No, it's
I
okay. It was a wake up call, Kevin. It's just
okay.
life. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just link you to how these things work, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
the heart attack was because I've discovered based on this date of birth and time, there's weakness of the heart. That's just one. Second, the cause of this heart attack is because, again, I did mention that your mind, push you to do great things, but that great things also put you on a huge amount of stress threshold. So the amount of stress threshold that you are dealing with, to you, your mind can handle it, but the body can't cope in that sense. I hope
Mm,
that makes sense, right?
total
So
sense.
yeah, so that is actually the trigger for that heart attack. So it's actually interlinked. Okay, so if you technically you will want to pay attention in certain years to come. So for example, next year, 2026, okay? So do activities that allows you to take care of your body, relax. Don't put too much stress threshold on the heart by next year. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you're going to go for a long marathon run and then you want to clock like, I don't know, 10 minutes, let me just do like 9 minutes for 2.4 kilometers. That's going to be very bad idea. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
nothing that pushes the heart for next year. Exercising is okay, you're fine, right? So brisk walking, exercising, no issue, right? But not, sprinting, trying to, clock a new different records. That's a
Right.
very bad idea because the
Got it.
second trigger is going to be more dangerous.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
right. So
Okay.
so that's one part that I want to bring your attention. Last but not least, all right, other things that you got to pay attention to is sometimes you do get things like joint pains, shoulder pains, bone structures that are giving you some issues. So those are the areas you want to pay attention to as well. All right.
Sure.
But those are not the massive thing as of now. The key thing is for 2026, you will want to pay attention to your heart, right? So that's one of the key things. So you see, just in a short amount of time, I've probably not able. I don't get on a phone call with you before I do this, right? This
Right.
is just our first meeting, okay? I can pull out a lot of information about you just by reading your date of birth and time, right? You'll be able to tell in terms of characteristics, your strength, what are the role you should be playing. So again, I did mention that if you're not working in the corporate world, right? Or rather, if you're working in the corporate world, you will be a leader leading with a lot of, team members because you're great with leadership and structure. No doubt about that.
Yes.
Okay. But of course, at the same time, you know, for someone that can take up so much responsibility and still surviving well also means that the body is going to take a hit from that. Okay. So that's one way we want to manage it. Okay, so this is your capabilities, and of course, this is your body threshold. This is one that we want to manage on. So other things that I also would mention is you're kind of a person that you can't really sit still. You're always working on stuff. Your mind is always expanding. You're always figuring out how do I do new things and everything. So you're basically really just a action taker, which is
Yeah.
in my context is great. All right, but just that sometimes we don't want to be doing too much things at one time. Okay, because that then is too much thing on the plate. We want to know in which year should we structure to focus on what. So maybe this year is just marketing. Next year it could be, I don't know, search engine optimization, or getting your campaign to be 100% AI tuned, right? Because everyone is on the topic of AI these days.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so that's all coming from a person date of birth and time, right? And of course, if I were to talk about industry wise, you see just right here, and you will see that the few industry that you really should be involved in is first and foremost, right, education, which I believe is that's what you're doing right now. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, you're educating because anything that involve teaching, academic training, you're doing your personal training. That's the one thing you have to do because as you can see right here, right, wood is one of the good element that is for your chart. And wood itself, if you look at when I mouse over this, right? So wood
Uh-huh.
itself, you'll see that it's education, publishing, writing books, magazine, fashion, right? Forestry, agriculture. So those are the things that you will do relatively pretty well. So other things that you can be doing as well, right, would be the water industry. Okay, these are new things that you can talk about, right? It's communication, it's media, right? Tourism, transportation, creative art. So those are your secondary roles if there's sometimes along the way you want to be starting new trade, right? Or new businesses. So these are some of the business ideas. So you see, just a short amount of time, all this information is just right here. You can see how easy I fetched this up. But of course, this took me 26 years of my time to put in all the research work and then of course the framework for my programming team to come up with all of this in just seconds because I literally just use AI, not really 100% AI, a little bit of AI, but more of IT framework, right? Put it on a web-based application where everybody can use it, and of course guide students through their different ways of analyzing how do I really decode a Bazi chart that's from here. But most of the time-to-time work that we are talking about in terms of your date of birth and time, usually it's for a very particular matters. So I do get, all walks of life, different people. Um, if you mentioned they're billionaires, they're millionaires, they're very normal people, they're very normal 8 to 5 people, but everyone face different problem, right?
Sure.
So a multimillionaire may not have money issues, but he may have issues with a spouse. He may have
Right.
relationship with issues with his family. So most of the time when they come to us, it will be for very specific issues. We will come down to this section right here, right? So this is a section that I show you early on. This is how we analyze why certain things is happening. Okay. Once you know the why, you need to know when does this thing end. Okay. So for example, someone is suffering from cancer. Okay.
Right.
So is the ending date going to be taking much longer than what it would have been? Right? Or somebody is surviving on a very, not really surviving, somebody is thriving on a very prosperous period. Right? Ever since he started the company, short amount of time he cashed out, okay, sold the company, got into a merger and acquisition, become a multimillionaire maybe just 4 or 5 years. Okay, that sounds good. But how long is this energy going to last? Is it going to be just now? Or is this going to be like 10 years, 20 years? Or is this going to be over in just 1 year? So you do realize this, even billionaires have mentioned this before. No matter what you do, there's 100 reasons I could have turned left and still gotten to the right directions. There's 100 reasons I could have just turned right and still have arrived at the wrong destination. So even billionaires understand that the reason that they become so much successful, a lot of it is based on their destiny and their luck that's involved. So as much as that's this luck that I talk about, I don't mean that you just want to, let's just be lucky, go out and buy a lottery. You're just wasting your time. So that luck that we want to know is what is the intrinsic data of your date of birth and time, right? So you do actually get this sets of blueprints that's really down here. And if you use this information well, you can use it for anything, literally anything that's in your life. And what we want to do is we want to get on a path with least resistance, right? So example, you want to get on this new business or this new job, right? Should you take on this job? Is this going to be a good start? Or are you going to be entangled into another round of politics and fights and conflicts? What is it? Right? So this then helps you to do proper decisions making. So thus, I thought that in the Chinese world, we talk about, let's say, China Chinese, Singaporean Chinese, Malaysian Chinese, or the Honkies.
Sure.
They are very well versed with this system right here.
Sure.
In the States, most people are very familiar with astrology. Okay, so of course, I'm not just talking about your usual 12 horoscope. I'm not just talking about your zodiac sign, because they are still very good astrologer in the States. They are able to do very precise reading. Okay, go down to the day and to the month, right? So it's not talking about, let's just check for Capricorn, how is the luck when we like for Capricorn. That's too general, because
Yes.
effectively you can't divide the world into just 12 different types of people. Why? Because we base it on 12 zodiac sign, right? So similarly, in the Chinese system, they will say that which animal sign are you born under? There are people born in the year of the snake, people born in the year of the dragon. That's
I'm
again
a
also
rat.
12. Yeah, you're rat. So if you look at it right here, you see, this is
Oh,
you're
yeah.
born in the year of the rat.
Yes.
Okay? So the system does tell us that. But you see, knowing that you're born in the year of the rat does not give you any beneficial advantage. And it just can't be, if you just use a bit of common sense, it can't be that let's just say that people says, oh yeah, people born in the year of the rat is not going to do well in 2025. How can it be that the whole world, there's so many people that's born in the year of the rat, and all of them is not going to be doing well in the year 2025? So that's the context I'm talking about, right? So
Sure.
that's
Sure.
taking things to a too generalized level. So what we want is we want everything precise. So yep, you're born in the year of rat because you're born in 1960. Then we talk about the month, which is September. Okay, and then you got the date and the hour. All this then formulates a very unique chart. In fact, this combination is just one out of a million possible permutation. So that's how much differences we talk about. That's why once we come down to this, the accuracy is there. I was actually able to give you advice on taking care of the heart, and then you
Right.
mentioned that, oh yeah, you had went through heart stenting, and in fact 2 times,
Right.
right? So that's already the sign. But I would definitely have not asked you, do you have any health conditions before we do this? So then how do I interpret this? So it's all through deriving and understanding all this information right here, right? But of course today, when I teach the students, I don't expect them to memorize Chinese characters because it is just going to be taking too much time. So a lot of the time, we're just going to be using systems to guide them, right? So we have system that guides on health, right? You will see there's a lot of mouse over, and if you say selecting good dates to do certain things, we do have a lot of these things that we put it out right here. Why is 12th of July? Why is it a bad date? We'll tell you what is it used for. You see, students can literally just select a good dates themselves to do certain things. Okay, and all this is just uh, because I see this as a future, right? People is going to get more engaged with the internet, right? And AI has already come, right? AI has arrived in since if as far as I concerned, right after COVID. Okay.
Mm.
So you do get blockchain, your crypto, your chat GPTs, and now chat GPTs is not the only AI that we are talking about. You do get
It was
tons
just
of tools.
first. It was just the first big one.
Yeah, it was just the first one. And why are we entering this trend is also one of the key reasons. The energy has kind of changed since the year 2020. We call this some of you, if you study Feng Shui before, you might have been very familiar with the term that's called period 9. Now, period
Mm.
9 energy tells you that we are in fire energy, right? So what does
Mm.
fire mean? Fire means that anything that's going to be about technologies, right? Anything that's going to be about fashion. You do get this doll that's called Labubu. I personally don't like the doll because it looks somewhat like a monster. But the founder of this doll, Labubu, is in fact a multi-billionaire just by selling one doll, right? And today's there's Pop Mart. You do sell blind boxes. People are opening a lot of figurines. People are buying Pokemon cards, right? Sport cards. So all these things is going to be a new social norm, right? Coming for this 19 to 20 years. So that's what we talk about. So a lot of times I will say that if you're not going to embrace AI, you're not going to embrace knowing what's going to come next, right? You will actually be defeated by the rest of the people together. So it is then your job. In fact, I always tell people, for anyone who's lost right now, and he says, you know what, I don't have a job, I don't have a career, I don't know what I should be doing. And of course, bearing the fact that you have not done your own date of birth analysis yet, okay? I will still tell you that one thing, try to do something that is um, in the form of whether it's AI or whether it's live streaming, putting a brand to your face. This is
Yep.
a new social norm, all right?
Sure.
Gone are the
Sure.
days where only celebrities will appear on TV networks, okay? You don't have to be a TV celebrities. You have to be a person that is all about making contents. You have to
Yeah.
be value adding people. You have to be teaching people whatever you know, right? I don't care that maybe, I don't know, maybe you're really just good in poker. Although I don't advocate gambling. Maybe you are
Right.
only
Right.
good in poker. Okay, but you could teach people, how to analyze probabilities. Okay, so when people see enough of your face doing this thing, now this one trend has made a lot of multimillionaires in a short amount of time,
Sure.
especially since COVID started. So
Sure.
when COVID came, everyone got to stay at home. All right, if you still remember, the shares of Zoom shot up to like 1,000.
Oh,
I probably don't
unbelievable
have
the
the
amount of
exact
money the
numbers.
man made. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, right? So then you look at it, brands like Nvidia, right? So graphic card Nvidia, right? Nvidia is being used for AI generations right now for servers, farming machines. Those all rise through the roof. Okay, so do something that's in this line of context, you will not be lost at least in the next 10 to 20 years. You could have said that, but I'm an accountant. Can I be studying this? Why not? Figure out how do you use AI to still do your accounting work. Okay? How do you do it faster? How do you run a team with it? right? How do you automate a lot of different things? You could have even, 2 or 3 AI assistants that's helping you to run a lot of these things in the back end. And effectively, you can thank like the work of like 10 people if you know how to utilize all this to your advantage. So that's really the key moving forward that I will really give advice to all viewers right here. You want to be doing something that's really relevant. So these are the days. It's live streaming, it's broadcasting, it's putting a face to let audience know what you represent for. Okay, so like for me, I have been in this feng shui space for a long time.
Right.
I've not changed what I've been doing. I'm still doing this one thing, right? So, but of course, that's what it represents for. So clients who are from Fortune 5 companies, they always find us, design the headquarters, select new areas. Property developers want to design new things. Those are our usual clients. Okay, that's because they've seen enough of this phase doing that one thing. Okay,
Right.
so again, that's the quick takeaway I give everyone else is I want you guys to, just put some sort of this AI tools into your basket right now and enhance whatever you're doing right now. You could be a chef, that's fine, okay? But maybe are you able to use AI in a way to teach how do you cook certain dishes? Okay, so the world is not just only you don't only see Gordon Ramsay doing out a steak, right? You
Right.
could be having out your own formulas, people seeing you enough, and all this will just convert to conversions.
So how do people get in touch with you, Kevin? You've covered a lot of topics, and man, you've been spot on with me in so many areas. And sure, I'm looking into live streaming right now. I mean, I have my podcast. Here you are. I was a former, well, not former. I still have a show that airs on NBC Channel 3 in Las Vegas, which is a very big
Wow.
network. Yeah. So, we'll talk about that after we finish up this interview.
Cool.
Is yeah, we could talk about exposure there, but that is important. But it's transitioning away from network television into who's got the greatest live cast for Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. All of those matter today. TikTok Live, I think they're
Exactly.
Instagram, all of those platforms. You're spot on.
Yeah.
And I mean, the things you mentioned, I mean, I have a million questions, but we only have a certain amount of time. But how does somebody get in touch with Kevin Foong and have this depth, it's probably a deeper reading than what we had time for today, so they can learn about themselves and how to avoid obstacles? Because that's what I'm
Sure.
deducing from our interview is here's where you should go, here's what you should avoid.
Right, sure. So you can just catch me on our website, right? So that's Kevin Foong, CG.com. CG stands for Consulting Group. So that's kevinfoongcg.com. You could just Google for Kevin Foong on Google. I believe I'm probably the one that you get to see a lot of the time because
Right.
I've appeared on multiple social medias, all the news platforms, CNBC, China News Asia, Straits Time. I've appeared a lot on all these different platforms, giving my views as an expert in this area. So that's one way you can always reach out. But of course, I also do have free training that's with my YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to go into some of those free videos to understand something about metaphysics. Okay, so every year I do release I call this a winning guide. Okay, so you can also Google for this. It's called 2025 Winning Guide, and you're more than welcome to download a copy of it. Of course, right now we are pretty much in July. We still relatively have about 7 months before the year
Sure.
changes to another different year. But watch out for that next year. You can still use the guide for 2025 to guide you for the remaining 7 months. And of course, next year we will again have a very periodic release by then. That will be for 2026. Those are always free information out there for you to consume. So once you understand that enough, you're more than happy to connect with myself or my team because I do have a quite pretty huge team that assists me on this day-to-day basis. Else, there's only one of me. I can't take so many
No,
consultations.
I get it. Yeah, so they have to go through your process. I get it. And I know Chinese New Year is huge. I've learned that from my years living in Asia. And I think it's great. And the red envelopes that go out and I mean all the celebrations. And it's a very big deal in the Chinese community. So I appreciate and acknowledge it and respect it. and the predictions go along with it. Well, you've been an outstanding guest, Kevin. I would love to have you back again to go into a little bit more depth on something else, and it doesn't have to relate to me. And thank you so much for using me as the guinea pig to cover for this interview. And I'll have you back. And
Yeah, sure. It's my greatest pleasure. Thank you so much for having
and
me.
you've articulated who you can help, and that's great. And we'll have you back in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Foong, and I probably messed up the pronunciation. Sorry.
I'll be
Kevin Chinese in my next life. So we'll see you again very soon. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Mitch. Have a good.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast.